Hey everybody, my name is Melanie Robinson. My presentation is on poliomyelitis, also known as polio. Polio is a contagious disease that attacks the central nervous system. This disease has been known to cause paralysis. Poliovirus is known to spread through contact with fecal waste, unwashed hands, shared objects, contaminated food and water. Vaccines have eradicated polio in the developed world. It still exists in developing countries that lack proper sanitation and vaccination programs. This presentation will go over disease name origin, background of polio, research and pathology, vaccine creation, and treatments. The word poliomyelitis comes from the Greek words polios, which means gray, and mylos, which means matter. The last words are suffix itis, means inflammation. It is unknown how long the virus has existed. Medical historians believe that a 1500 BC carving of an Egyptian priest with a withered leg and the 25 skeletons from 1400 with deformed limbs found by archaeologists in Greenland represent the earliest cases. Polio was first medically documented in Britain by Dr. Michael Underwood in 1789. There are 3 serotypes of polio. Serotypes are much closely related than strains are. Type 2 is the most dangerous. Polio eventually made its way to the United States. 123 cases appeared in Otter Valley, Vermont in the summer of 1894, making it the first recorded polio epidemic for the country. Not much was known about the disease. Another concerning wave of polio came through Sweden in 1905. Once again, the outbreak happened in the summer. 1,200 cases were reported, with most of the victims being children. The only thing known at the time was that young children were disproportionately affected. Outbreaks happened in the summer, and isolated areas were hit the hardest. Finally, in 1908, there was groundbreaking discovery of polio. A researcher from Vienna isolated the disease from the spinal cord of a child who had succumbed to polio. He filtered this substance and put it in the stomach of 2 monkeys. The monkeys contracted the disease and died. At this point, the poliovirus had successfully been isolated. Polio is an RNA virus that has specific structures that allow for translation and replication of the viral genome, and may play additional roles in other processes, such as genome packaging and modulation of the host antiviral response. Polio has been observed to have a 3-dimensional structure. RNA viruses are weak because of their structure, but dangerous because of their ability to easily mutate. Virus would attack human cells for the resources it lacked and reproduce this way. The cytoplasm of human cells was most observed to be affected. The path to finding a cure led to many deaths and unanswered questions. The unexplained outbreaks caused desperate attempts at treatment. In the early 1900s, nothing was known about the destructive path polio took throughout the nervous system. Most of the treatments available were based on assumptions about the virus and treatment of symptoms. Traditional medicine was also tried, and disinfectants such as hexamethylamine and hydrogen peroxide were used externally as well as internally. The same protocols used for other deadly illnesses like tetanus and rabies were tried on polio. They thought, since the disease all attacked nerve cells, that the known treatments for them might work on polio. Even to this day, there are no treatments for polio. Only vaccines can prevent it. The World Health Organization states that over 90% of people do not have symptoms. Those who do have fever, fatigue, headache, vomiting, and muscle stiffness. After initial symptoms start, parts of the body go through paralysis. In rare cases, the paralysis leads to death. Antibodies in the bloodstream are able to remove the virus. If no antibodies exist, then poliovirus travels its way through the central nervous system. The nature of this virus is cytopathic. It destroys living cells along its journey. It begins attacking the nervous system at the spinal cord, and this explains the paralysis seen in some patients, especially young children. The polio vaccine has saved many lives, but its introduction killed and crippled many. This is known as the Cutter incident. The poliovirus was supposed to be grown in the kidney of a monkey and deactivated with formaldehyde. It was then supposed to be passed through an ultrafine filter to ensure living polio wasn't trapped in other cell debris. When Salk was sent this material from other companies, he was unaware of how they dangerously cut corners during production. Incorrect filters were used, and live poliovirus was contained in the shipments. After receiving Salk's vaccine, 40,000 children developed headaches, muscle stiffness, neck stiffness, and fever, and 200 were permanently and severely paralyzed, and 10 died. Poliovirus has taught many lessons over the years. One of the biggest is no one is immune to major pandemics. The world must be prepared for when they happen. Poliovirus has pushed science to find answers to complex situations. It has also taught society the importance of vaccine regulation and safety guidelines. These are my references mentioned throughout the presentation.